Welcome to the City of Eureka Springs special meeting for BOZA, Tuesday, May the 25th, 2021. Mickey, if you'll establish a roll call, please.
Tom Buford.
Here.
Melissa Green.
Here.
Ian Selly.
Here.
Me, here. Ferguson Stewart.
Here.
Jody Breedlove. Is she absent with permission?
No. No.
No.
Okay, if we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we are here tonight to discuss the variance on Wheeler. If I get a motion to discuss.
Motion to discuss.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody would like to make a comment, question?
And why don't you read on 448 the variance or waivers, or I can do it, reasons why? Okay. Do you want me to do it?
Certainly, go ahead.
Okay. The Board of Zoning Adjustment shall, which means mandatory, also have the power to grant variances from or to the waive the literal provisions of this chapters. Variances and waivers can include, but are not limited to, matters such as setback lines, frontage requirements, height limits, lot size, density requirements, and yard regulations. A variance or waiver from the literal provision of this chapter shall not be granted unless written application is made demonstrating literal enforcement of the provision of this chapter would result in undue or unnecessary hardship. B, special circumstances exist which are unique to the property in question and which do not apply to other properties in the same district. The special circumstances do not result from the actions of the applicant. Literal enforcement would deprive the applicant of the rights commonly enjoyed by other properties in the same district. Granting the waiver or variance will be within the spirit and intent of this chapter, not against the public interest.
This is Ferguson Stewart. After walking the property yesterday, it was obvious to, I think myself at least, looking at the Data Scout information beforehand and then walking the property, that these property lines are definitely unique in this situation. And I feel that it was, at best, my experience dealing with easements when I was a park commissioner never came across property lines like this. So it led itself into the situation, whoever drew out these property lines like this. And I think that the situation that we've got ourselves into here now is as a result of these property lines and how they're drawn.
Well, what I see is I see two surveys, one in February of 2021 and one in November, and two very, very different surveys. And that's concerning to me in the sense that the first one looks like they really didn't need to have a variance except maybe one area of the front porch, and with the timeline given to me, before the second survey was done, the frame of the house was up and most of the work was done on it. So, and the property was owned by other people that basically, in a letter I have here, kind of gave permission for him to do it. So I don't know. For me, there are A, C, D, and E that literally bother me, and one of them is the literal enforcement of the provision of this chapter would result in undue or unnecessary hardship. Why? This is a disabled man who just wants to live in his house. To me, that this is going to bring a lot of hardship if he has to reconfigure the house. And this is, because of these surveys, it is a special circumstance that I think if we would have had maybe the second survey, maybe this wouldn't have happened. And basically, the literal enforcement would deprive the applicant of the rights commonly enjoyed by other properties in the same district. My house, the last two houses I live from are 6 feet apart. So I understand the feelings of the other people. I do. And so many times in this town, we overlook so much. And it's kind of come to a point we've got to quit overlooking. And otherwise, we wouldn't be sitting here today. So I guess I think somebody, Mickey, do you need to talk?
I pretty much agree with what Melissa said. While there are discrepancies and differences in regards to the maps of the lines, and there has been suggestion that pins have been moved and stuff, what it all really boils down to, the previous owners gave permission for certain things that were allowed. That was followed through with and done. The house is built. It is not physically doing any damage or anything else to anybody because it's on property that's not even being done, if you understand what I'm saying. That little section of land, that little corner, nothing's going there. It's not stopping anything. It's not hurting anything. If a new survey has to be done, that's fine. The house still won't be moved. That's what it'll come down to, The house is built. It's there. You bought the land was bought as is, which includes all the permissions, any moving, anything else. It was bought as is. That's the law. That's the way it was when you bought it. That's how you accepted it. Nothing can be said later to try to change it. That happens to be the law. I would say try to be good neighbors, everybody, and understand sometimes this happens. 10 years ago, on Planning Commission, I felt like we dealt with property line screw-ups every single month. It was unreal. We have gotten it down to the point where we finally are being able to, most things have been fixed. We will still find the occasional thing, and we deal with it in proper time and in proper order. That's all we can do. Everything is done. It wasn't done to be mean or anything else. It was done purely innocently. Anything that might be wrong was purely innocent. So it's up to you guys how you go, meaning all of you, all the neighbors.
Any other commissioners have any?
Yeah, Bobby, I have a question for you. Come on.
Yes.
In the November survey, it looks like the corner of the house on the survey is past the setbacks.
Yes, the corner of the wooden deck, the front
Okay,
deck.
so now the front porch is the part on the November survey that's in question?
The southwest corner of the porch.
Okay, and how far away is that?
When we were there, it was roughly 2 feet protruding into the 10-foot.
Okay, so it was like 7-6 away from the
Yeah,
property.
approximately that, 7.5 feet.
Okay. So in the newer survey, it's closer. Do you know the reason why these surveys are so different?
I actually spoke with the company that did both surveys. They were asked by the Housing Authority to come in February because there was this issue.
Mm-hmm.
They had, another surveyor had originally, before construction, before footings, had actually come in and somewhat set the pins so that they would have an idea of how to place the house on the property.
Okay,
Whenever when the housing authority contacted me that there might be a problem, from what I could tell from measuring, it was 10 feet essentially from the property line, as best I could gauge it, 10 feet from there to where they were digging the footings.
okay,
It was after the concrete footings were poured, and then the pillars for the post for the deck, that it was realized that this corner right here was protruding, like I said, approximately 2.5 feet into the 10-foot.
So basically what you're saying, they started out with what they believed was within the boundaries of the law, and it ended up, the November survey kind of put them a little bit over, correct?
Yes, I did not, like I said, I took measurements. There was not an actual line
Okay,
that was strung whenever I
Right.
was trying to get my measurements.
right,
But from what I could tell, that was, the house was fine.
okay,
I cannot say whether they have or have not, that the pins have been moved. I just do know that there were reference points whenever I was there originally doing, checking the footings and everything, and it was really, really close,
Okay.
the corner of the house,
okay,
to what I could figure out to be possibly 10, or the 10 feet.
right, right.
But it was
You
not,
know,
but it was not until this other that it was, when they got the deal up, that it was definitely, at least 2.5 feet protruding into the 10-foot setback.
Okay. So to you, in the spirit of this, they really did not do anything wrong?
They cannot, well, I don't think they did anything wrong. They were trying to get this house placed on the property.
Okay,
It can't be moved closer to the street.
right,
Essentially, the platted street is
Okay.
there.
right,
It couldn't come that way. They couldn't go farther, to the north.
okay,
Would I have placed the house there? I would say yes, probably.
okay,
Just due to the fact that the way that the lot was drawn out.
okay. Okay, thank you.
The only thing I want to add is basically the atmosphere of the claimant, Roger Walker. He conveyed a story that was kind of interesting, and he was a younger kid. They always had visited Eureka, and he always wanted to live on that one spot in his whole life, and now he has the opportunity to do that. So, I think that's part of this. I don't see any malice or any contempt for the law. I don't see any contempt for the things that I think everybody involved was trying to do the right thing. So I think that's where we are.
I believe that. The internet is a powerful tool, and Mr. Collins, you have a lot of good reviews on it. I looked you up today, so I believe you are an honorable man. I believe you tried to do what you felt was in the spirit and what was right by the law. So is there any more discussion from anybody? I'm going to make a motion that we grant the variance and the waiver for number 4 Wheeler Street. For the request is for the setback variance from 10 feet to 7.5.
And I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Passes with 4. 1 abstention. Vicki, if you'll sign.
And would you write on there just a description of the beginning of the timeline so that there is a history of this, why we granted this?
Yes. Okay, Mr. Walker, you got your variance. I thank everyone for coming tonight. If I can get a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
A second?
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.